But how about the NFL suing the NFLPA? Did you see that?
Whoa.
Over the running back
What
stuff?
about?
Yeah, they're filing litigation
Oh,
that
yeah.
the NFLPA was basically recommending to people to fake injuries to kind of add leverage for the running back contract situation. The NFL, I don't know if it's suing them or filed a injunction and who would even hear that? A court? What does it
Yeah.
even mean? I don't know.
Court-martial.
But the NFL publicly said, hey, we don't like what the fuck you did there, pretty much, is what they publicly announced. Did you see this?
Yeah, and I remember when that news kind of came out. I thought it was amongst the running backs, and that came out from the Zoom meeting. It was kind of leaked. I don't think that was from the PA, but I mean that wouldn't be.
So Treader, actually, J.C. Treader, who friend of the program, was actually quoted in some interview talking about gaining leverage however you possibly can.
That ain't a good way.
Yeah, well, I think he alluded to it, though. The NFL is filing a grievance against the NFLPA over allegations the union advised running backs to consider fiending or exaggerate. That's a good word there.
Feigning?
Yeah, fiending. I think it's like
Feigning?
Yeah, is it rain? 'Cause
Feigning.
feigning, or feigning. What a word. Hell yeah. I wonder how the NFL...
What does a grievance mean exactly?
Or exaggerating injuries
pissed.
to gain leverage to contract talks and seeking an order for the union to cease and desist from such improper conduct. Now, exaggerating injuries. Can you search up J.C. Treader injuries in this thing? Because I think Mike Florio quoted one and said, well, all of a sudden, this quote seems much more important now from J.C. Treader. Whenever maybe a couple months ago when the running back thing was happening, J.C. Treader obviously very high in the NFLPA. And I assume he just said something in an interview passively. But then when Jim Irsay puts out there's some contracts, there's some agents operating in bad faith right now telling the running backs to do stuff. I think that, and then the agent comes firing back at Jim Irsay. I think then Jim Irsay rallies the troops about like, this is bad faith going on here. And I don't know, though. What does that mean? A grievance comes. Asked on Ross Tucker's podcast if running backs like Saquon should claim they're not 100% healthy as a means of holding out. Treader said that he couldn't recommend faking injuries publicly, but he didn't exactly rule it out either. You need to try and create as much leverage as you possibly can, Treader said. And that's the tough thing with the franchise tag or being restricted in the movement is it decreases your leverage. But then you have to find creative ways to build leverage elsewhere. I think we've seen issues now. I don't think anybody would say they were fake injuries, but we've seen players who didn't want to be where they currently are have injuries that made them unable to practice and play, but you're not able to get it fined and you're not able to be punished for not reporting. So there are issues like that. I don't think I'm allowed to ever recommend that, at least publicly, but I think each player needs to find a way to build up leverage to try and get a fair deal. And that's really what all these guys are looking for, is to be compensated fairly. So that quote, I would assume, was the thing after Jim Irsay or others were like, this is bullshit. What's going on here was the thing that they kind of find. But I didn't hear him say, hey, they should do it. I think he was just pointing out the obvious that it has happened, not only in the NFL, but NBA. I mean, James Harden.
Oh, yeah.
James Harden.
Simmons.
I mean, this has happened elsewhere. It's not like they created it, you know, AJ?
No, they just don't want him to talk about it anymore. The cease and desist part at the end, like they just want him to shut it down and not continue this conversation.
So, maybe he's in the middle. Where's J.C. Treader at right now?
He's not playing.
He's not playing. He's out of the league.
He retired.
We should text him. Yeah, let's text him. Cold call. Yeah, cold call. Let's tell him we're on, though, you know, obviously, because everything he says is going to be literally in a grievance. What is that? Who hears that? Like Judge Judy? Who is
Goodell, and he just crumples
like
up the
demerit?
paper and throws it out.
It's just for merit, you think?
No, it's like getting a demerit, like giving someone, hey, that's one demerit. Okay, what happens?
And how often does it happen? Like, we're filing a grievance.
Especially between those two.
Okay, we'll move along. Thank you. We're filing a grievance. Okay.
Yeah, but when players file grievances, typically they can get things resolved like pretty quick. If you file a grievance based on how like an injury settlement might have gone down and they want to give you 3 weeks, now it might get moved to 6 weeks after you file the grievance. So like things can come from that.
Grievances? What about the NFL filing it against the players?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
Great question.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But I think some type of resolution can come from it, or else there's no point in doing it.
because they're the ones filing the grievance, but they're the ones making the decision. So the decision's
Roger
already been
makes the
made.
decision.
Or
Sounds
is this like the thing with Goodell where they had to bring in that third party lady? Then she would recommend to Goodell what
Didn't
to
matter.
do.
But we all know
Doesn't
that
matter.
didn't.
That didn't
her
matter.
ruling
Yeah.
did not matter. Remember that? That was the fine little finer detail we found out.
Yes.
Right before the judgment day was like, turns out this is just a recommendation.
Yeah, to Roger.
This is so Roger doesn't have to do the whole song and dance with the court thing. She will be doing this. She will be giving a recommendation to Roger Goodell, who will then be making the final decision. It was like, so nothing's changed. And he's going to take it serious. It's like,
Oh,
I'm sure he is. And I think he did and has. But there will come a situation that'll pop up where Roger will go, you don't know the whole story. Whoever the judge is, whether it's a new one or whatever, that's not the case. We got to do this. I appreciate the fact that the NFL is trying to change things, and I could see how they would be pissed off if a union was telling people to fake injuries so that they could get out of there if they thought that was happening. But I don't know how this matters. Like a filing of a grievance, what is that? We'll find out for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
could you imagine if that info?
No answer from JC Tretter.
I tried looking
If we
it up,
had
too.
that info before about Jonathan Taylor, how loud it would have been. Because everyone would have immediately just been like, "Oh, Jonathan Taylor's listening to J.C. Tretter. He's just faking an injury, and that's why he's doing this."
Well, JC Tretter didn't say that. He was just pointing out that
Yeah.
it has happened in the past. We
Yes.
got to make sure we say that because that is the whole conversation that's taking place in this grievance. But Jonathan Taylor just posted him working out,
Yeah.
right? So Jonathan Taylor is probably feeling as if he's healthy, letting the world know he's healthy.
Should be getting there close to it.
Was he put on PUP or IR?
Pup.
Okay, so he
He's
can't.
back after
Physically unable to perform.
2 weeks.
3
away.
weeks, 4 weeks,
3,
3 weeks.
Four, I think.
4 is
Four
PUP.
total.
Four
He
is
has
PUP,
2 left.
4. I thought it was IR's 4. Yes.
I asked 4 too. At least 4.
Yeah, do you no longer have to be designated either, right? Remember, there was one person at the beginning of it. IR used to be forever for everybody.
Yeah.
And then there was one person that was allowed to be designated to come back. So you had to pick an injury on the spot, predict what future injuries could come, and how easily could that come. Wow. And then they were like, this is stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't this, we should just like every other sport.
Wait, so now everybody can come back?
I think so. I do believe.
That's good.
Is that
Now
COVID?
I think COVID was,
That was a COVID
helps,
because it was 3 weeks, I thought, during COVID for the IR.
and then they
you were
had
allowed.
people in hotels. Remember, they had people just
Yeah.
living in hotels.
Yep.
Because if you had to do an 8-day isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah, quarantine.
It was
Quarantine.
5 days because I had to do it.
Wild
I got
times.
signed like
Oh, nice
midway
job.
through August. You just
To
sit in a
Tampa?
ho- Yeah, sit in a hotel for 5 days.
Was that cool?
Was it a good hotel?
Oh, caused some stress on my marriage.
Oh.
Oh, babe, yeah, you got to take the kids.
Oh yeah, you must. Yeah, you got all the kids. Yeah, you must be watching Netflix shows.
Oh, I'm sure that's what you were watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Brought
much
8
lotion
bottles
did
of
they
lotion.
buy in there?
Yeah, you ran up a bill. On
Front office,
Yeah.
the front office called down. Hey, front office, hi, how can I help you? I need all your lotion.
Now.
I'm here for 5 days.
All of it.
Do you know I'm not allowed out? So if you guys could just figure out how to drop that outside, that'd be great.
Can you bring a laptop up too?
I like to be lathered.